So yesterday I was actually back here at night trying to see like I could give a second coat, but then I decided let me work on the other pieces to apply the first sanding coat. Now I was initially thinking that I will work on these segments because of the lack of space, but I tried doing the other one. It was a real mess in the sense that I don't have any space. I was about to like tumble here and there. So I have decided that I will leave it at that. I will just show you where the other pieces are, and probably you'll get an idea of like the amount of space I have in my garage. Like this is on the floor. I was just trying to sit on the floor and go over those. So this has the first coat, even this piece, the front drawer face. So I will leave it at that. I will not concentrate on those pieces right now, because now with subsequent coats I need to make sure that there is less contamination and I cannot keep it on floor. I'll probably use the sawhorse to do that. So I will work on these three pieces, almost get it to the finish line, take it to my home, and then bring that big piece on here and work. So I will again focus on this one. So I have not done anything on these pieces after the sanding coat. Now I will just denib this using like mild sanding. Again, by mild sanding I mean either you can use, I also have a 330 grit, but that 220 grit I have been using the single like little sheet of paper, sandpaper, that's already like worn, and that is good enough. Like we don't need to probably like if you're concerned about a little contamination or something, may make sense to like use another piece, but I don't mind. Like I don't think this is going to impact that much, so I'll just go with it. So again, I'm not trying to remove that first layer in any case. It's just that has raised the grain. It feels a little bit rough to the hand, so I will do some like mild sanding. That's about it. Like shellac doesn't need this to be abraded now to like so that the next layer can adhere to this. It's just to like, as I said, denibbing the surface so that the grain, the raised grain is like again smoothened. I'm not trying to remove that layer. And I'm not going to come back and sand between every coat now. So after this, I will just apply my multiple coats, like maybe 4, possibly 5, and then at the end, I will use the 4O steel wool to finally, again, that does the denibbing at the very end. It removes like any imperfections and all, and then I will wax it, and that's it. I'm done. And I have found shellac is so forgiving that sometimes when I have forgotten to even do this, it just works fine at the end. Like it doesn't make like a huge amount of difference, but yeah, it's good to follow a pattern and try to get to like as close to like perfection. This is our furniture. We try to follow the steps. Now, because I'm going to apply one last coat on the underside, I'll still do that. It's not important because I don't care about any imperfections or like raised grain on the underneath, but I am here, I'll just do that little bit. Yeah, I won't bother for more. I'll leave it like this. Wood doesn't need shellac for protection as such. Or any finish really. It just ensures that the look and the sheen remains intact. That's about it. How long the piece of furniture lasts or anything, that I don't think this finish makes any difference that way. Just trying to feel every spot with the hands to ensure that I have gone over it with the sandpaper. And I've decided I'm going to wear these gloves, not because this has any harmful chemicals or anything. The only reason being, like, yesterday what happened, like, it was becoming difficult for me to remove like some shellac of my hands, and I was finding it hard to unlock my phone with my biometrics. Like, it's a pain to remove that. I mean, I can use a lot of alcohol to dissolve it and remove it, but then that dries up the hand. So only that's the pure reason. So I want to make it easier for me. I mean, don't want to struggle unlocking my phone just because of it. So that's the only reason I'm putting on these gloves. And I told earlier that I will bring my bigger brush, fake brush, but I keep forgetting. Yesterday night I thought I would bring, I forgot. Today, only when I try to open this, I open my can, I remember that I could have brought the bigger brush. That would make it so much quicker. It's tedious in the sense that I am having to apply so many coats, yes, but it's simpler in lots of other ways. I mean, after the sanding coat, I could have come back within like 30 minutes or so. It's just that, like, I have to find whenever I have like a break from my work or anything, and I do that, or come back at night. Sometimes weekends, I do intend to work more on the weekends, but other engagements, classes for my kid and all, like, sometimes I get occupied. So, and doesn't matter how long I leave this. So that's it. That's the underside. While that gets time to dry for a few minutes, I will come to the end grain. And that's the reason we do the underside first, because any, like, I could just keep it like that, so any stain or like blotching should not matter as much on the underside. But I want it's still absorbing a lot of like shellac, but with each subsequent coat, I think it will tend to saturate more. While doing this, I do see a lot of pencil marks here and there, even after I erased a lot of it. But I don't bother cleaning each and every section of it. That's just me, but you can spend time to clean up, especially if someone is making for a customer or someone. So not everyone may like those marks. Just at the end, I first go across the grain so that I have a wet edge that I can use to pull this long grain swipe. Also in the corners I can go. I mean, I'm following the theory that pulling from wet edge to wet edge is like usually minimizes like any spots and all. So, and again with shellac, all those spots or anything, like, it's easy to clean up at the very end. So it becomes slightly more difficult if you are using like a if this thing is not that dilute, there isn't enough dilution. So if it is thick, it's slightly more difficult. So I've learned that it's better to apply more coats with enough dilution rather than trying to hurry up with a thicker coat. I've tried and I came to know that like with thicker coat probably you'll need less coats obviously, but need to be that much accurate with that. The end stroke preferably is the long grain stroke, so go along the grain. So that's it. Did I cover every point? I think so. Now I will go over these two. I'll start with the inside. It's done. I'll leave it at that. I'll come back later when it is time for the next coat. I mean, when I have time for the next coat. I'm pretty sure this should be ready for the next coat within an hour. Hi everyone, so it's going good. So I'll be applying the fourth coat now. So I haven't recorded in between because it's all the same. There are some things like I have told about shellac application. Not all the things I'm doing are maybe the most accurate, because I have read somewhere some suggestions that the sanding coat, like probably the first coat is the sealing coat. I treat it as the sanding coat. Sometimes you can do it that way, as I understand, but sometimes what people do is like the first coat is the seal coat. Let the wood absorb everything and seal the pores. The second coat is the sanding coat. You have enough material to sand it, and then third, fourth, probably if needed fifth coat you apply. But I just treated the first one as the sanding coat and just went for it. Every time I have done this using how I have done, it comes out wonderfully well. So that also shows that how forgiving shellac is. So you don't need that high skill to achieve a very good result. Just saying, like, that's one of the big advantages there. Now coming back to my thing, this is the fourth coat. What I want to do, or I intend to do, is go a little bit slow. Slow in the sense that obviously it's going to soak less, so I have less time. Like, it's probably going to evaporate faster because it is less thing. But what I want to do is not ensure that I am along the grain and not what do I call it? I go along the grain and I don't go over the same spot multiple times or across grain, things like that. So I will try my best not to do that. Not saying like I would be successful. I don't need to go under the underside right now. I'll just directly go I'll go all the sides first. So it's soaking less, obviously, because by now it's, and I said this is the last coat, which is most likely is going to be the case. But having said that, if I feel like it's still soaking in more, I may go for another coat. But I think this will be the last. Right now I don't see any reason to go for one more coat after this. When I come at the end with a 4O steel wool and denib it, it's going to take away almost all the imperfections. So it's so easy. It's spreading uniformly, giving that very nice glossy look. And once we go with the steel wool at the like at the end. This is actually going to give it a little bit of matte appearance, which is actually good. It's a bit too glossy right now. And normally I transfer a bit of shellac into a small can and use that. Like that is actually the recommended thing, because no matter how careful you are, there is always going to be some contamination from the brush or the applicator. So we don't want that to be accumulating in your main bottle. The reason I went with this can is because I thought like I'm going to use up everything. But then between subsequent coats, that like whatever little bit of impurities, they keep on accumulating. So probably like I will go with a smaller can when I apply on the other pieces. I'm going to throw away this can once this is done. I'm trying to look at it from an angle to see like I've covered all spots or not. And also the fact that I was telling, like sometimes shellac does gum up the surface, and it tends to get sticky for some time. That's again, like this is definitely, that is very temporary, because uh, eventually it's going to act as a what do we call it, it's going to make it even smoother on the long run. So absolutely nothing wrong in applying shellac over the runners. I mean, I was talking about my bedside cabinet that I had applied shellac on all the runners and all. It used to get sticky occasionally, like in fact for a month or so. So yes, it is a little bit annoying, but it's perfectly fine now. Yeah, definitely this is the final coat. I'm not coming back on this one. I will let it like dry for few hours at least, and then come back and buff it off, like, or rather denib with like a steel wool. Drawers, I'm like even more certain that this is the last coat, because the way like how this thing looks, the supili, it's like very good. Like in fact I could stop right there, but just to, one thing I hadn't done earlier was, if I remember correctly, I didn't put any like shellac on the underside of the drawer, like the plywood bottom. I thought that is unnecessary. I only did on one side, but maybe a good idea to, if I'm putting like just to put on both sides, because what it does is it seals one side like to some extent. So, and it if it doesn't seal by the same amount on the other side, there is a small chance that there would be unequal absorption of moisture. But then we are talking about plywood. Their main feature is like the crisscross grain lamination, and it's much more resilient to like those kind of changes in environment, moisture or whatever, expansion, contraction. Yeah, I was not applying shellac on the this entire surface, but I'm doing now, because like I came to know that it's eventually going to help with like smoother gliding, other than of course the appearance. So even if it comes up, I'm not too concerned, because that's not going to be permanent. And I'm not going by the textbook, like how concentration the shellac needs to be, like what cut, like pound cut. I'm just going by the feel. Like I'm just diluting it a little bit, like taking shellac from this can and just diluting it like little bit. So I moved the top piece aside and got this one now. I did have like the initial sanding coat applied, so I will start with like sanding it a little bit, and then these ones I am little bit careful about sanding. It's not easy to get to all the spots here. I'm also trying to feel with my like fingers if I've forgotten to sand any really rough edges. I don't want to someone to touch these and then suddenly find a very sharp spot or something like that. These ones would be hidden underneath the tabletop, but still, if I can access it, I'm just without too much difficulty. I'm still standing there and applying shellac. I especially try to feel the underside, like where there is a chance that someone's hand or feet may catch, like while cleaning or like. So those spots, like you want that to be comfortable. I'm still using the same small piece of sandpaper right now. Not to be like, it's not that I don't want to spend on more sandpaper. I have it, but I really don't need, like, or rather I need a worn out sandpaper. So intentionally I'm doing this. Hopefully this is like removing the dust. So I do have a soft shop vac, but I mean it would be a pain to connect that. And even though we are not working with machines which produce a lot of sawdust, but this aspect still produces fine particles, some sawdust. It's just unavoidable. So take your own like precautions and all, like able to dust allergy or so a respirator, mask, whatever is needed. So normally, unlike tabletop where it is recommended to apply like a coat on both surfaces, the reason being if there is unequal moisture absorption, then there are more chances of warping. It's less of an issue on these kind of like frames because these are like so tightly structured, like they're joined from every side. It's extremely difficult for these things to warp. I mean, almost impractical. Okay, I'll start from this. It's good idea to start on the underside because like once I have applied on the top, it will be hard to pick it up and do anything. So I mean, when I started working with cherry, not that I knew it was that beautiful, I've started to like it a lot, especially considering its price. The only thing is that I built so many furnitures using cherry that that's the only reason I want to try something else. But just that this seems so economical yet premium, like in quality. Like inside spots, if I can reach, I will just apply wherever like a possible little bit of coat. I will be a little bit more careless there, like across grain, along grain. Doesn't matter. It's more to seal than the appearance. What I'm doing now, if I have to come back and repair anything, like say after 5 years, 10 years, whenever, 2 years, it's the exact same thing that I'm doing. There is no special skill needed for repairing shellac or anything like that. Just sand it a little bit, 2 more coats. That's done. This is the second coat on this one, by the way. In fact, pine, I like it a lot. No issues with using pine on like high-end projects. Just that people usually associate pine with like construction lumber and all. But to be frank, like it's so much sustainable and it is soft, but it has so much like resistance to like bending and all. It's good, just happens to be so good for construction lumber, but can make really good furniture out of it. They will dent, probably easily because they are soft, but I mean they will be more resistant to breakage or anything. That's what I mean. One thing I didn't go over is this, wherever, like as long as I can reach, just put a little bit there. Yeah, probably unnecessary what I'm doing. This is over, and yeah, I can leave it at that. I could remove this and apply shellac on this one, but I don't want to bother like trying to remove the double-sided tape. Probably. I don't like staining wood. Staining meaning like applying a different color to the wood, because I like the like keep the natural grain structure and all that the species like brings with it originally. But I must say that working with poplar, I feel like that is one wood I would prefer to stain probably. This side is done. I'll be a little bit more cautious like when I am applying my. Did I go over this? Yeah, it looks sticky. Towards the last two coats at least, because it's not a good idea to be just keeping it on top of like a fabric or a cloth, or like I need to be careful, like let it dry before I put it on its side or something like that. So what I will do is put a piece of strip like this so that it has some space to. So that's it. Only my drawer. I don't want to handle that right now. Yeah, I'll come back later, probably tonight. Again, I will come to apply one more coat, maybe two. Yeah, we'll see. Probably I will put some wax on the first on the top and the smaller drawers. I'll catch you then.